G'day everybody, welcome here to Between the Posts. It's great to have your company. My name is Lachie and Jack. I'm joined by Jack Banwell. Jack, how are you?
Yeah, excellent, Lachie. Pleasure to be here on Between the Posts this week, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be a great episode, that is for sure. And of course, filling in for the great Tommy Javor, we hope he's feeling all right. What's coming up on this week's show?
We've got all of our usual segments, mate. We've also got the Division 1 wrap, which we'll be going through. We've got the Division 1 women's wrap with Beck, and then the Division 7 wrap with the mighty Jad Ghosn.
Oh, I can't wait for that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Of course, we've also got What Caught Our Eye, the Farmers League Coach of the Week, and Born to Build Mark and Goal of the Week as well. So there's going to be a large collection of footy. That was the intro. Thanks to 9 News, and we'll see you on the other side of this. G'day everybody, welcome here to the BTR Excavations Division 1 wrap with Lachie Gould and Jack Banwell. Jack, it's been an interesting round of football, that is for sure.
Yeah, it has. Certainly didn't live up to the expectation and the hype that we anticipated, but that's all right. For the winners, they'll be stoked, and for the losers, they've got to lick their wounds and move on to next week.
Yeah, you broke out the calculator overnight. What was the average winning margin?
Yeah, I did. Filming footy stat for your Sunday morning, Lachie. The average winning margin was 54 points across round 11 in Division 1 this weekend.
Jeez, an average winning margin of 9 goals. That is not what you want to see. But you know, great for all the winners. Unfortunate for all the losers. Speaking of winners and losers, we were at Port District in the Shock game down there at Country Living Homes Reserve. And I'll tell you what, Port District, they had a big win, 13-10-88. Shock 3-7-25. What were your thoughts there, Jack?
Yeah, Sacred Heart, they didn't really fire a shot, unfortunately, for them, but it was largely down to Port District's tackle pressure, I thought. It was a blue-collar performance from the reigning Premier. They were forcing skill errors by Shock, and then they were able to generate lots of scoring shots and locking the ball inside their forward half and able to play front half footy on the back of that pressure.
Yeah, 6-1 first half was matched by a 7-2 second half. Long story short, they did as they liked, Port District. Goal kickers, Lysette had 3. Sharrod had 3, including the first 2 of the game. They were pretty good as well. Big bombs from outside 50. Dinoff 2, Dwyer 2, Gray 2, and McKay ended up on the scoreboard as well. For Shock, it was Fox with his 2, and Kuhl ended up with 1 as well. Some of the best players that weren't involved in the votes, Mitchell Gaffney and Samuel McKay for Port, while for Shock, Bone Crusher McRae, Darcy Gluyas, Charlie Hilliard, Luke Dewhurst, and Ethan Moore all had excellent games as well. Quick question for you without notice, Jack. Where does this kind of leave Shock? We talked about it a little bit yesterday on the stream, but for those that might have missed it or watching some of the other games, what, I guess, kind of position does this leave them in? Yeah,
it's an interesting one. It was pretty clear that when the heat was brought to them, they didn't respond in the way that they would want to, so they've got to lick their wounds and go again, but it's a stern warning for the rest of the competition that if you don't show up against the very best, then you're going to get your pants pulled down, and that's what happened yesterday, unfortunately, for Sacred Heart. They were missing some key personnel, particularly in that forward half, which is maybe why we didn't see their forward half connection fire like it has done throughout the year. But yeah, they certainly won't win a final if they dish up that sort of performance, and they haven't done that in the last 2 years. They've been in Div 1 and had the double chance, and yeah, if they dish that up again, it's going to be a similar story, unfortunately, for them. Yeah, of course, without Hunter Window and Bradley Agnew, it does make life very difficult there for those guys. But the award winners as well, do you want to take us through them, Jack? Yeah, so Louis Sharrod, 1 vote. Scott Lysette, 2 votes. He was immense in the ruck. He definitely won the ruck battle against Bradley Noble, and he got on the end of a few late as well. Big Scooter Lysette. And with the 3 votes, it was Cooper Gaffney. He took home the Belgravia, Archies, and the Bartley Tavern award there for best on ground. And for the Bianco magic moment was Harry Dwyer. Check out this snap from Harry Dwyer in the last quarter.
Sharrod Gray and McKay were the goal kickers there. This ball goes up the line. And that should go out. Niskus keeps it in. Well done there, Dwyer. Snap on goal. And he threads the eye of the needle.
I called it.
You did call it. That is a Bianco magic moment if ever I've seen it. I wonder what he's going to get himself.
And the last award was the Moseley Best Team Man for Sean Davidson. He had a splendid role on Alex Colotto. He was held goalless and virtually unsighted for most of the day, the player coach there for Sacred Heart. So, yeah, Sean Davidson, take a bow, mate.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do to hold Alex Colotto away from the goals. He's a very, very dangerous player. But yeah, I reckon Tommy Javor got in your ear somehow. He sent something telecommunications to get Cooper Gaffney in the votes because he was good. He was good for it, but I reckon Tommy had to say as well.
Yeah, it's hard not to notice Gaffer out there when he gets spoken about so much on the show and things like that. But the way that Port District were able to play yesterday, it just suited his game perfectly. He was able to rebound for Port Districts all day and set up a lot of their attack.
Absolutely, he was. Well, next we're off to Harpersfield. Golden Grove getting the job done over Spock. Spock, great last week against Port District. This week, a little bit left to be desired as they were defeated 14-14, 96. Plays the Spockos 7-12-54. What are your thoughts on that one there, Jack?
The three-headed monster came to play again for Golden Grove. 9 out of their 14 goals came from Lenny Pascoe and Liam Verity, who kicked 6, and Lenny Pascoe kicked 3. And Mitchell Slater also got in the best players, but we'll touch on that a little bit later on there, Lachie. So the three-headed monster came to play, and St. Peter's couldn't deal with them yesterday. Yeah,
absolutely. And I just want to take a moment as well to acknowledge Matty Gale and the excellent work he did on these notes there. They're so detailed, so it was absolutely brilliant there. The game was won in the first quarter. Golden Grove 5-4 to 1-5, and Verity kicked 6 goals, as you just mentioned, including 5 in the first half. So it was certainly very dangerous there. But the Spockos will lick their wounds, will lick their wounds and move on nice and quickly because they get 5 players back next week. They desperately need some reinforcements. It seems at the minute do Spock. But Golden Grove now 5-1 at home for 2025 and a 2-3 against top 5 company. Now they're not guaranteed to make it. No one's technically guaranteed to make it as of right yet. But if they do make it, they're going to be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. And on the June review, I think you were almost maybe a little bit quick to write them off there, Lachie. I said, just hold your horses. They're coming and they'll sort themselves out. Luke's a very smart coach and he's made some adjustments as well because since round 6, their defence has improved dramatically. They've only conceded 70 points once compared to the first 5 rounds of the season. Every team they played went more than 70 points on them. So they've shored up the defence, and then on the back of that, well, you can't stop their offence once it gets going, and it's been evident in the last sort of 5 or 6 weeks.
Pittman was in a league of his own in the engine room as well, controlled that and just basically went to work all afternoon, was able to grab the footy. And Mal Carruthers, one of the Rolls Royces of the competition, word for word quote there from Mr. Gale, with ball in hand and was in the thick of the action. Without seeing the game, I mean, it's not hard to imagine Mal Carruthers getting involved. But do you know what I love there, Jack?
What did you love?
I loved a Jags Meatwork snag of the week. Have a look at this one from Charlie Allen.
Bedford off the ground, coming out, still alive. Collie, handball out. What a goal! Charlie Allen, take a bow.
Best that didn't arrive in the votes, Aidan Thatcher does what he does down back. Ryan Xanthopoulos, Mitchell Slater and Tom Robinson for the Kookaburras. And for Spockos, Henry Nelligan, Ty Bedford, Alex Lillicrap, Edward Allen and Tom Rundle as well. But the votes, please, Jack.
Yeah, 1 vote to Mal Carruthers, the Rolls Royce of the competition, says Matty Gale. 2 votes goes to the pig who had his nose in the trough all afternoon, Jake Pittman. And the 3 votes to Liam Verity with his 6 goals.
There you go. A good win there for Golden Grove. They needed it. They keep the train rolling on. I tell you what, they're going to be a threat in September if their time comes. Well, we're off to Payneham Oval next. Payneham versus Salisbury North. It was a great win for the Hawks. They won this one 19-12, 126. Payneham Normal Junior 9-4, 58. Goals, Viney had 3, Ansel, Bauer, Kristanzik, Morris, Nunn and Rahui. While for Salisbury North, Johannesson had 6. How good has he been since he came back into the side?
Yeah, he's been great coming back from injury for his first few games in the last few weeks. And he's hit the ground running. He's kicked 10 goals in his first 3 games this season. So, yeah, great addition for the Hawks and their dynamic forward line.
Well, he may have had 6. Ant Halliday ended up with 5. Richard with 3. Costanzo with 2. McBride, O'Brien and Pearce all troubled for a single as well. Just very quickly, your thoughts on the game. Excellent notes as well from Nathan Woods and Peter G as well.
Yeah, we love our commentators' notes. Salisbury North, cleaner, sharper and had winners all over the ground. And it started with a fast start from Salisbury North, who kicked 6-1 in the first quarter. That's where the game was won and lost.
Yeah, it certainly was as well. A a great sign for Payneham in the third quarter. They were able to swing it together. It was marked improvement in the first half from the 11-4 goals that they conceded there. They did still lose the second half, 8-5, but as I mentioned, they won the third quarter. Positive signs there for the Falcons, but as you mentioned, it was Salisbury North all over them, cleaner, sharper, and in the end ended up winning all around the ground. The best that didn't emerge in the votes: Taj Rahui, Brent Ansell, Harrison Viney, Grant Cantillano, and Samuel Morrison, while for Salisbury North it was Tyson Richard and Jacob Russo. But the votes, please, Jack.
The votes: 1 vote to Hellabout with his 5 goals, 2 votes to Cal Hay, an absolute rock in defence, and 3 votes to Jake Johansson.
Well, we're off to Park 9 now for Prince Alfred against Broadview. I said it on stream yesterday, if this was the game they were going to get it done, the Tigers, if they were going to get a win, it sort of felt like it had to be that game there. They didn't end up doing that. 18-9, 117. The Tigers 8-9, 57. It was a great win for Prince Alfred, and Jad the Ghosn, he was on the comms and he left us some very detailed notes, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. We love Jad's work. He said it was a tight first quarter, but it was the second quarter where the game was separated. PAC went absolutely bunter, really, in the second quarter, 10 goals to 1. Are they still premiership contenders, Lachie?
Next question.
Broadview won the second half, but it was still too little too late, and unfortunately for them, they're still winless in Division 1 this year. It hasn't been a season they would like to remember at all. I think they're probably looking to 2026, unfortunately, the Broadview Tigers.
As we mentioned, a nice win in the end, 60 points. Goals: Bentley 6, Quaney had 4, Slade 2, Ianello, McInnes, Perks and Pitt. And for the Tigers, 3 for PJ Carlin. He's been pretty good since joining from the under-18s program at North Adelaide. Byrne, Costa, Mondra, O'Leary and Saint also ended up with goals. Best that didn't emerge in the votes: Sebastian Quaney, Mitchell Dean and Will Schmidt. Meanwhile, for the Tigers, Jesse White, Lewis Saint, Matthew Beard, Tyron Hill and Callum Flanagan. But the votes, please, Jack.
Just going to hold off on the votes just quickly there, Lachie. I've got a question for you without warning, mate. Is there enough there for PAC to stay up? I believe they're sitting 8th or 9th at the moment.
Yeah, so the 8th at the minute, Payneham Norwood Union below them, 5% separating them. For mine, it depends on Payneham Norwood Union. I think Payneham Norwood Union have a stronger team. If they fire, they'll win. They'll win enough games to stay up, and that would unfortunately see Prince Alfred going down. But on the other side, I think Prince Alfred as well will feel like they are in control of their own destiny. And
they've got to play, PNU and PAC have got to play each other before the end of the season, so that'll be a classic 4-pointer. So we'll have to be watching that one with close eyes, and the winner of that one will probably determine who stays up and who goes down in Division 1, I think. But for the votes, back to your original question there, Lachie. 1 vote to James Bentley, who kicked 6. Henry Slade, he was immense through the middle of the ground for PAC, he got the 2 votes. And it was Jack Ianello taking home the Archies and the 3 votes.
Well, we're off to Webb Oval next, where Rocks 18-8, 116 defeated Glenunga 12-6, 78. The goal kickers: Davis with 3, Marini with 2, Smith, Wonke, DeSera, Opperman and Pridham as well. Wonke ended up with 2. The rest were singles. McCormack with 4, Boxer with 3, Silvac with 3 as well, Wakeland 3, Lanzoni 2, Wharton 2, and Butcher ended up with a single as well. Your thoughts there, Jack Banwell?
Firstly, how's the spread of goal kickers there for Rocks?
No.
There was 5 or 6 players with more than 3 goals. So, yeah, they tore Glenunga apart, really, after quarter time. 6-goal to 2 for Glenunga in the first quarter, and looked like it was the Glenunga of old. They held a 23-point lead into quarter time, but it was all Rocks from there. 16-goal to 6 for the remaining 3 quarters. Saw them run away, very convincing winners away from home.
Jack, a bit of a question without notice. Are Glenunga more worried about what's over their shoulder or more worried about finals now?
Yeah, I think they're definitely looking over their shoulder instead of what's in front of them. They sit 4-7 now, if my memory serves me correct. So just 1 game above the relegation zone. So they need to win. You think if they won 1, that probably secures a spot in Div 1 next year. That would leave them 2 games ahead of either PAC or PNU, and you think they wouldn't be able to bridge that gap. But finals is probably just off the cards, I think, for Glenunga. If they won yesterday, you could probably talk about them maybe jumping Ross Trevor, but now Ross Trevor have just extended that gap a little bit by 2 games. And Glenunga also 1-5 at home, so that's been their downfall this year. It used to be a fortress, but unfortunately this year a few things have gone astray for them, and they're looking over their shoulder more so in front than in front.
But the votes: 3 for McCormack, 2 for Transfer, and 1 for Jake Silvac, who was a new player into the side and had an absolute ball out there. So a massive congratulations to Silvac there, ending in the votes. The ladder now, I'll run through it very quickly. Port District, they are 18 points, 9 and 2. St. Peter's sit 8 and 3, as do Sacred Heart. Golden Grove 7 and 4, so they've closed the gap slightly from last weekend. Ross Trevor 7 and 4 as well. Salisbury North are 6 and 5, finding themselves just outside. Meanwhile, Glenunga 4 and 7, they're 2 wins away now from 6th and 3 from playing finals. Prince Alfred 3 and 8, Payneham Norwood Union 3 and 8, and Broadview are 0 and 11. When you hear all that and you have a bit of a look at that there, Jack, I guess kind of where are some of the fire points? Where are some of the match starters, I guess, kind of to track across the ladder?
Don't write off Salisbury North just yet. They've got the second best offence, and I think Joe Hansen coming into the team just adds another dimension to their forward line, and they can be super damaging come the back half of the year. They can really hit their straps coming towards the end of the year. And also Golden Grove, I think we're starting to see the charge of the Kookaburras in Division 1, and they'll be looking to rectify on their finals exit from last year.
Yeah, I was going to have a look at the pointy end of the ladder as well. Golden Grove here, I reckon there's a definite top 3, which is Port District, St. Peter's, Sacred Heart. I reckon there's a 4th now that's emerging as well with Golden Grove. They're on a rich run of form, and I reckon we haven't seen their best yet. I reckon they're going to be competing right at the very pointy end, and it could be, a 4-horse race for first place instead of a 3-horse race.
Yeah, I completely agree, mate. Yesterday, the game we saw, Port District's versus Sacred Heart, was an absolute statement to the rest of the competition. I think Port Districts have got top spot sewn up. They'll be nursing some players through to the end of the year, I believe, and getting their side cherry ripe for September. And then St. Peter's, the few players they had missing yesterday was for a wedding or something like that. So it wasn't injury related. So they'll come straight back into the team and they'll be ready to go for the remaining games of the season. I know it's only one game, but yeah, Sacred Heart looked below par yesterday, and they've got some work to do to maintain their spot in the top 3. And yeah, Golden Grove, we're seeing their run of form continuing now.
Next games as well, round 12, of course, the BTR Excavations Division 1 does just roll on. Broadview versus Port District, that's at Broadview Oval. Surely Porties by how much there?
Yeah, it could get ugly down there.
Ross Trevor and Prince Alfred coming at us from Campbelltown Memorial Oval.
This should be a ripper. The two college teams, there's always plenty of spite and fight in those sort of games. I think Ross Trevor will be too good though.
Sacred Heart and Golden Grove, Sacred Heart Senior School Oval, that's a stream team game this week.
Sacred Heart should respond and put up a better showing than they did yesterday, but yeah, Golden Grove's form's pretty scary, and I think they'll go down there with a lot of confidence, and I think they'll fancy themselves to get an upset.
Salisbury North and Glenunga, Salisbury North Oval there.
Salisbury North.
St. Peter's and Payneham Norwood Union, that one's coming at us from Caterer Oval.
St. Peter's should be too good against Payneham Norwood Union, I think, and put the pressure on Payneham for that relegation fight.
Yeah, for mine, it's Port District, Ross Trevor. I reckon Golden Grove will get the win there. Sorry to differ from you.
No, that was the same.
Oh, was it the same?
Yeah, we were the same. 3 from 3 at the moment.
3 for 3. Salisbury North there, and St. Peter's should get the win as well. But a massive thank you for tuning in for the Division 1 wrap. It was fantastic. Thank you very much, Jack.
5 from 5 on the tips. Let's hope we get them all right.
Oh, we will. No doubt about that. We'll see you next week for even more Between the Posts.
Do you belong in a role that drives you? In a community that makes you proud? In a team that brings out your best? You belong in blue. Apply for a career with South Australia Police.
Well, it's the moment you've been waiting for, women's wrap time. It is time to talk all things women's footy, starting of course with the BTR Excavations Division 1 competition. What did round 11 look like? Well, let's start with our first match, which was Golden Grove versus Hectorville. And it was Hectorville over Golden Grove by 17 points, 9-4-58 to 6-5-41. Now, this win sees Hectorville get their 5th win of the season, and they got off to a flying start, a 3-goal-2 first term to Golden Grove's 1-goal-2. They moved along, kicking 4 goals in the second to lead by 30 points at halftime. Golden Grove started to get into gear in the second half, including a huge 4th term, kicking 3 goals too. Despite their efforts, the early deficit was a bit too much, and Hectorville finished on top. And the Heckies girls were firing up forward. Christy Cooper kicked 3 goals, Taylor Roberts and Liana Richichi kicked 2, and Jasmine Egan and Macy Philpott also kicked a goal each. Macy Philpott was also named the best on for Hectorville. Now, it was a much needed win for Hectorville, coming off a rough few weeks of losses to record their first win since round 7. This win also keeps them very much in touch with the top 4, but we'll get to that later. For Golden Grove, their highlights included a 3-goal performance from Shakaya Wiley. Just go Shakaya, get it done, lift those Golden Grove girls, you're doing well. And a 2-goal performance from Eileen Heibner, and Ayla Johnson also jumped on board with a goal. Ayla was named among the best, and their best on ground was Zoe Perry. Whilst it wasn't the win for Golden Grove that they've been seeking, this was actually Golden Grove's highest score of the season. There was plenty to like from their game, including that awesome final term. That first win just seems to be getting closer and closer every week for Golden Grove. And they also did celebrate 50 games to Jess Doby, so well done Jess on your milestone. We move on to Henley versus Goodwood. Now, this is 2 teams within the top 4, of course, and it was Henley who prevailed with a convincing 57-point win at Shark Park. Henley 10-8-68 to Goodwood 1-5-11. And there's a story to be told here, because at quarter time, things looked to be going a very different way to that final score. Goodwood scored 1-3 and held Henley to no score in the first term. Well, this must have scared the Sharks into action, as they went on to have a 3-goal second term, a 4-goal third term, and a 3-goal fourth term to finish off the match, all while holding Goodwood to no more goals after quarter time. And the Sharks just fully went to another level and never came down. And guess who's back? You know who it is. It's Tegan Dunbar. A fabulous 6 goals in the win, and she moves to 40 goals for the year so far. Can you believe it? That's absolutely huge. Well, with that convincing win, the Sharks move 2 games clear into second on the ladder. For the Saints, well, it was a bit of a come down after their strong win over Happy Valley last weekend. Their start was promising, but the Sharks were just too good. Their goal came through Tessa Cohn, and the talented and ever-reliable Maddie Griffiths was their best. Jess Chire also featured among the best, and she's having a great season as well. Now moving on to Game 3, Happy Valley versus Payneham, and no surprises here, Payneham remain unbeaten after a 61-point win. Payneham 12-4-76 defeated Happy Valley 2-3-15. And how is that accuracy from Payneham? Only the 4 behinds. And Payneham, well, they just keep getting it done. They are so strong. And I will tell you who is on an absolute heater at the moment, and it is, of course, Chelsea Packer, with a casual 6 goals from her in this match. She's done it again. She has kicked 17 goals in the last 4 games for Payneham. I might have to go down to Payneham and see just how she's doing it, because Chelsea is absolutely killing it at the moment. And with that performance, well, Chelsea got the best on honours, no surprises here. But one of my other favourite players to watch down at Payneham, Chloe Samuel, well, she had a day out as well, kicking 3 goals of her own and got second best for the day. So, their best players are really firing down there at Payneham. On the Happy Valley side of things, their goals came via Riley Johnson and Alana Rochow. Simone Shermer continued her fine form for Happy Valley, named as their best player. Unfortunately, the last few weeks haven't really gone their way in terms of Happy Valley. They have been without a win since round 6. Now, I think they can very much still make the top 4, but the next 3 weeks are so crucial for them, and they need to get some wins on the board. Now, for our last game of round 11, well, we had an upset because Broadview have taken down Morphettville Park by 7 points. Broadview 6-6-42, it defeated Morphettville Park 5-5-35 at Broadview Oval. And it was a hard-fought win by the Tigers because things did not go their way in the first half. Morphettville Park got out to a 19-point lead at halftime and very much seems in control, as Morphettville Park tend to do. But Broadview tore it up in the third, kicking 4 goals to, holding Morphettville Park scoreless. Then the Tigers went on to kick 1 goal to in the last to Morphy's 1 goal 4 and held on for the win. This was a great win by Broadview, coming off a rough loss to Payneham the week before. And, that 2025 season, it hasn't really been going as well as they would have liked for Broadview, but I think they've done well, really well here to get this win. And I've talked about it over the last few weeks. Morphettville Park have been so in form. So Broadview, they've just got a really solid win there. And their goals came through 2 goals to Daphne Albanese and Taylor James as well. And singles came to Nikki Cullen and Remy Grant. Amy Jones, well, once again, she's been outstanding for the Tigers with a best-on performance. On the Morphettville Park side, Caitlin Swanson, well, she's continued her fine form in front of goal. Another 3 this weekend. Caitlin is really killing it up forward for Morphettville Park at the moment. Megan Harper and Julia Watson also kicked 1 goal each for Morphies. Megan Harper, she was named their best on. For Morphies, they'll probably be disappointed to drop this one as they have been really pushing for that top 2 spot. But I'm pretty sure they're going to feature in the finals. We know that their best form is really incredible, and I'm sure they will bounce back very quickly from this one. Whilst for Broadview, it is good to see a glimpse of that 2024 form that we've been seeing in and out across this season, and that gets them their 4th win. Now, let's have a look at that ladder because it's starting to get interesting, and we've, of course, only got 3 rounds to go in Division 1. Well, of course, top of the ladder, absolutely no changes at all. Payneham, 11 and zip, they're just holding their spot there. Henley in second, of course, still they hold their spot there as well, and sitting pretty comfortable as well, because with Morphettville Park dropping that game, they're now on 6 wins, 5 losses, but they are still a game clear in third, but just gave a little bit of breathing room to Henley in second. Goodwood, they are just hanging on to that 4th spot, 5 wins, 46%, but coming in hot behind them is Hectorville with 43%, and then Happy Valley also on 5 wins. Their percentage is a little bit lower, but those 3 teams are absolutely just battling it out for that 4th position at the moment as well. Broadview, they're currently in 7th, but only 1 win behind those teams, and with that win on the weekend, could they get themselves back into the top 4? Who knows? I mean, as I said, we've only got 3 rounds to go and absolutely anything can happen. So let's have a look at what's happening next week, because every single game is going to be crucial in these upcoming rounds. Now, we've got Happy Valley versus Broadview. I think this is absolutely one to watch because, as we've discussed with that form from Broadview at the moment, this could be a win that they might be able to sneak in against Happy Valley. But as I said, Happy Valley, they need to get another win on the board, get themselves back in that top 4 contention. Then we've got Payneham and Hectorville. Could Hectorville cause an upset? Could they be the first team to beat Payneham this season, or will Payneham just carry on their merry way? Then we've got Goodwood versus Golden Grove, and we know Golden Grove have found some form over this weekend. They didn't quite get the win, but as I said, they kicked their highest score for the season. Goodwood, not their best on the weekend, so will they bounce back? Will Golden Grove come in and steal the win? Who knows? And then our last game of the round will be Morphettville Park versus Henley, and I think this is a massive one to watch as well. 2nd versus 3rd on the ladder. I think Morphettville Park, they won't be happy that they dropped that game on the weekend. Will they come out angry and just really stun the Sharks? But the Sharks, they're obviously in fine form. But there is so much to see in a women's footy. If you can get yourselves out to any of these games, you won't regret it. There's so much talent on offer. Maybe you want to get out and see the Sharks and see this Tegan Dunbar that I've been going on and on about for weeks on end. But yeah, if you get a chance, go out and watch some women's footy. You won't regret it. That's all from me for this week. I'll see you next time for more women's footy chat.
It's time for the Farmers Leap Coach of the Week, and we're looking at Matt Lee, or Lethal, at Brahma Lodge. He's doing a brilliant job drawing on his experience as both a player and a coach, and he's leading Brahma Lodge to a 10-1 start to the season, only behind the undefeated Elizabeth at the minute. He's doing a superb job, and that is why he is our Coach of the Week. G'day everybody, welcome here to the Adelaide Footy League Division 7 wrap on Between the Posts. My name is Lachie and Jack. I'm joined by Jad Ghosn. Jad, how are you, mate?
Yes, good. Glad to be back and chatting about Division 7. Very exciting league in store for us today.
What's happened since last time you were on? Obviously we saw you at the June review, but what's happened since then?
Yeah, so we'll quickly have a look at the ladder and it'll tell a bit of a picture. Elizabeth sitting on top, of course, much talked about the Elizabeth Football Club. 22 points, 11-0 yet to be defeated. In second, Brahma Lodge, 10-1. After that, there's a bit of a gap. Central United and Hackham, 7-4, 6-5, so they make up those final spots. The interesting one comes from here as well. In fifth, Mitchell Park with a 3-8 record, sitting in a finals position, as well as Mawson Lake and Flinders Union 3-8, and rounding out the ladder is Elizabeth 1-10.
Yeah, absolutely, of course, and you'll notice the coffees on the desk as well. They're absolutely flawless as well. The Midway doing a great job. The round 11 results, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, of course. So Elizabeth 152 beating Mitchell Park that got 48 points. Hackham 80 beat Central United 54. Flinders Uni 74 beat Mawson Lakes 57, and Smithfield they got 57, losing to Brahma Lodge 118. So Brahma Lodge are flying. More about them in a bit.
It's super exciting at the minute, Division 7, but I want to touch on two teams as well, Elizabeth and Brahma Lodge. What makes them so damaging?
Yeah, so Elizabeth, a lot have been talked about them, but if you actually look through the numbers, they're having quite an unbelievable season on top of their 11-0 record. They've on 82.19 percentage, which is crazy. They've scored 1,717 points, only conceding 372 points after 11 rounds is nuts there. As for Brahma Lodge, they're going probably a little bit under the radar because of how good Elizabeth are going. Only lost once to Elizabeth. I picked them as my smoky at the start of the year for the grand final spot, and that's looking good at the moment. And their success really comes from their ins, because I noticed at the start of the year they had a lot of key players in, and those are the players that have been playing really well. Trent Payne, we touched on with 53 goals, but also Zachary Graham has been in the best players 9 of the 11 games so far this season, and Brody Norman 8 out of the 11. So those key players are really pushing them up the ladder, and yeah, very good effort there from Brahma Lodge and their coach Lethal.
Yeah, absolutely lethal. Can't wait to chat to Lethal later. But aside from that, Smithfield as well, right down the bottom of the ladder, hasn't quite been their year.
Yeah, Smithfield obviously haven't they've had one win, which is good, I guess. But yeah, other than that, has not been their year. They can try and find more wins against those other teams, because they're only 2 games off of them, and they have a win against them. The Flinders Uni, Mawson Lakes, Mitchell Park type of team. But yeah, at the bottom once again for Smithfield. But yeah, unlucky for them. A hard season.
Yeah, absolutely. Jad, you wanted to touch on Mitchell Park as well. What's going on over there?
Yeah, a very interesting stat. They're sitting at 3 wins, 8 losses, but somehow find themselves in the 5, so in the spot for the finals, which is very unusual. I'm not sure if that happens anywhere else in a different league. There is only 8 teams in this league, so that also helps, with the win-loss record. But saying about 3-8 record, also Mawson Lakes and Flinders are 3-8. So just on percentage, 3 teams are sitting 3 wins, 8 losses, and still in contention for finals. And those games against those 3 teams when they verse each other are going to be crucial, and who knows if they make finals, who knows what happens from there. So those teams, when they verse each other, are all big games, and it makes for an interesting league for sure.
Absolutely, it does. Final question, of course, round 12. We've got some massive games coming up, but take us through them.
Yep, so Hackham versus Mawson Lakes out at Hackham Oval, Mitchell Park versus Flinders Uni, and Central United versus Smithfield. And the big one that I'm going to spend a bit of time on, Elizabeth versus Brahma Lodge, first versus second. Of course, probably maybe the biggest chance for the season for Elizabeth to actually get a loss. Brahma Lodge will be up for it. They got close last time, but they did lose. Can they close the gap as well to the top spot? And lastly, it's going to be a huge game. If you're out near Elizabeth Oval or anything like that, go and have a look. It's going to be a great match, and a really good high quality Div 7 game. First versus second, 11-0 versus 10-1. Doesn't get much better than that in Division 1.
No, it certainly doesn't. It's going to be a really great game there in Div 7, and if you are in the area, go down, check it out, have a bit of a watch. But that does wrap us up for the Division 7 wrap. A massive thank you to you there, Jad.
No worries. Happy to be on anytime.
Anytime. Thank you very much for watching. See you after these messages. G'day everybody and welcome to What Caught Our Eye. Oh, it's great to be here. Got Jad Ghosn, got Jack Banwell alongside me. This one's going to be great fun, boys. Let's begin with Jack in Division 7.
Division 7, Hackham beat Century United, closing the gap on the units between 4th and 3rd to 2 points. So impressive win there for Hackham.
Yeah, for me, Mitchell Park sitting in 5th spot with a record of 3 and 8. So very interesting to see such a negative win-loss record, but still trying to fight for those final spots.
I've gone towards some individual accolades. Leading goal kickers, Stephen James, 54 points for Elizabeth, Jordan Campbell, 53, and Trent Payne, 53 as well. So that is pretty interesting to look at as well. And of course, you can catch more on the Division 7 wrap with myself and Jad, which was always good fun. But across to Division 6 now.
Division 6, Para Hills kept their finals hopes alive, beating Blackfriars. They now sit 1 game back of the top 5. They play West Croydon in round 12, and as you know, West Croydon aren't going too well in Div 6, so they'll be eyeing off a late finals charge, I think, the Kangaroos. And Daniel Weecher for the Roos as well is leading the Div 6 goal kicking with a whopping 59 goals.
Yeah, always fun to cover Daniel Weecher in Division 6. For me, St. Paul's 4 wins in a row moves them into 2nd. They've been really impressive the last few weeks, and looking to see if they can keep that up.
Absolutely. Division 6, Fitzroy are 1 and 10 and 3 games from St. Paul's seconds all the way down to Blackfriars OS in 8th. That's all that separates them. So it's really tight, and West Croydon are unfortunately 0 and 11. But I'm sure their first win's coming. Division 5, please, Jack.
Division 5, the closest competition in the Adelaide Footy League, in my opinion. Pulteney stay in touch with the top 5 with a much-needed win off the back of losing their past 4. So now they're looking ahead, not looking behind them. 9th place Trinity defeated 3rd place Paraka, lifting them out of the relegation zone. And little last one here for the Div 5 ladder. Every team has a percentage of plus 43%. No other division in the Adelaide Footy League has that. There's a couple of teams struggling down the bottom. Division 5 is as tight as it gets in the Adelaide Footy League.
Yeah, good spot. For me, the thing that caught my eye straight away, Marion, who are undefeated, only beating Gaza, is sitting in 9th spot by 2 points. So nearly a huge upset there in Division 5, but Marion just held on to keep Gaza away.
And mine's a little bit more around how teams are scoring. So despite both Clarks from Greenacres being at the top of the ladder for goal kickers, Marion have 112.7 points per game to Greenacres 95.54. So if the Clarks don't fire, Greenacres don't fire, Marion, a large contribution above the board. And also Portland in 5th have conceded the most points across the division. So they score heavily, but they also concede heavily down there at Porties. Back to Division 4, please, Jack.
Smosh West Lakes finally get a win, and it was good to see them singing the song with so much gusto on their Facebook page last night. Congratulations to the Lions down there at Smosh West Lakes.
Yeah, well done to Smosh. For me, I noticed 3 teams sitting on 9 and 2. Plimpton, Walkerville and Morpheville Park. Very interesting one to look out for. 9 and 2 record, and all 3 of them fighting for that grand final spot is going to be a good watch.
Yeah, of course, 2 of those teams will stay in. 2 of those teams will go up to Division 3. 1 will stay in Division 4. And they'll probably start favourites to go up to Division 3 in 2027. But as you mentioned there, the 9 and 2 record for those teams, 4th and 5th, which is kind of like Gardens and Hectorville, they're 6 and 5. So there's a 3-game gap. You would imagine it's now a 3-horse race in Division 4. Division 3 now, Jack.
3 teams fighting it out for 3rd spot: Kilburn, Foss Camden and North Haven, who lost yesterday, so that puts them back to the back of the pecking order there.
Yeah, for me, Edwardstown beating Seaton Ramblers by 1 point, increasing the gap between 7th and 8th, which could be crucial for the relegation battle.
Yeah, I was just going to say on that as well, Seaton Ramblers, Scotch OC and Hope Valley all looking like they might be potentially relegated. And of course at the top, Westminster and Unley are at least 2 wins ahead of Kilburn, Foss Camden and North Haven as well. So it's looking pretty likely those teams will find themselves in Division 2 next year. Speaking of Division 2, Jack, what you got?
Division 2, Lockleys, they're just keeping their heads above water still with a 1-point win versus Old Iggies. And Modbury beat Brighton yesterday, meaning there is a 3-team fight for 5th. So Division 2 shaping up to be a tight competition also.
Yeah, for me, I'm looking at the top of the ladder. There's a big gap between the top 4 and the rest. So very competitive between them, similar to Division 4. But Athelston, Teacher Gully, Goodwood and Henley separated by 4 points at the top of the ladder. And one to look out for who's going to be in Division 1 next year is obviously a big deal who can win that one.
Yeah, of course, it's going to be absolutely massive to see what happens there. Henley are the king of upsets. They got past Athelston in round 8, then they got past Teachery Gully this weekend, and a gap of just 1 win now separates 2nd Teachery Gully, Goodwood 3rd, and Henley 4th. Matty and I said it during the Farmers League Coach of the Week interview. His fight is on between really all of the top 4 teams. Division 1, please, Jack.
Division 1, our favourite competition in the Adelaide Footy League. Jake Johansson for Salisbury North, coming back from a bit of an injury cloud at the first bit of the year. 10 goals in his first 3 games adds to an already dynamic forward line for the Hawks. And for the numerology lovers out there, Payneham Norwood Union, unfortunately for them, they conceded 2 hefty scores, but it was the exact same, 19, 12, 126 they conceded in the last 2 weeks.
Good spot there, I like it. For me, Golden Grove, 4 wins in a row, rocketing up the ladder. The other one, just to pump myself up a bit, but St. Peter's looking quite well for my grand final prediction.
Oh, nothing like a bit of a self pump there.
I love it, Jad.
I won't do that. Port District's 9-2, clear on top at the minute. Broadview 0-11. But for more, check out the Division 1 report. Of course, me and Jack were on that this week. It's great fun, and thank you so much for checking out what caught our eye. G'day everybody, it's time to have a look at the Born to Build Mark of the Week. The winner gets a 3-night stay in the Moonlight Suite by Kimberley Resorts. Check out these hangers. G'day everybody, it's time to have a look at the Born to Build Goals of the Week and have a look at this prize pool as well, valued up to $3,000 from Police Credit Union, $1,500 cold hard cash to the player. The club gets $1,000 as well, and also up to the value of $500 at breakthrough mental health first aid training as well. Have a look at some of these snags.
With the conditions at the moment, snap around. Has he got it? I think he has. What a goal! With the conditions at the moment, snap around. Has he got it? I think he has. What a goal! How about that? From Payneham to start. What's Matty Nunn?
G'day everybody, welcome here to the last word brought to you by Saipol. Of course, we're at the midway for this week's Between the Posts. It was absolutely fantastic here. We've got lots to get through, a couple milestones, one mini-me, and no marriages as of quite yet, but of course they'll be coming in coming weeks, I'm sure. With Nick Wonke and Tom Butterworth at Glenunga, 100 games for both of them, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic effort from you two fellas at the Rams.
Yeah, so Sean Duffy, Golden Grove, 450 games. What an absolute fantastic achievement. The lifeblood of the club down there.
Yeah, 100%. He's a legend down at the Kookaburras, Sean Duffy. And last but not least, at the Eastern Park Demons, a little bit of a different one this week for the last word. Scott McGee has had the change rooms at Eastern Park named after him. He's been a fabulous servant of Eastern Park over a number of years. Did you want to just touch on a couple of his achievements down at the Demons?
Yeah, 350 games. He has done so much for the club as well, off the field as well as on it. He's coached, he's played on the field as well, and he hasn't ever accepted a cent for any of his services at all. So absolute brilliant there, just loves the club.
He does, and we won't just brush over the fact that he's coached and played. He's a 350 game player for Eastern Park, so that's a sensational achievement for you there, Scott. Congratulations, mate.
Yeah, and I look forward to visiting the Scott McGee change rooms at some point coming up with Eastern Park. And as we did mention, there has been a mini-me. Joey Brown has had a kid with his partner as well, and it looks like all's going well there.
Yeah, congratulations, Joey, on the arrival of your baby girl, mate, and I'm sure we'll see you out patrolling the wing for Salisbury North in no time.
Yeah, but that wraps us up from here, from the midway for Between the Posts. But until next week, we will see you very, very shortly.